Welcome to a Sunday special. There's a city in Nigeria where nearly every street corner holds a first, a place where history didn't just happen, it began. That city is Calabar. Our reporter Tina Kwake takes us through its streets, its legacies, and the spirit that made it Nigeria's city of many firsts.
Welcome to Calabar, Nigeria's city of many firsts. Before Nigeria had the capital, Calabar was already leading. Before schools and hospitals took shape elsewhere, they were standing here. From power to prayer, prisons to presidencies, this small city shaped a nation. Let's trace the roots, feel the rhythms, and hear the history still alive on the streets of Calabar. What did you hear about the city Calabar? A city that gave Nigeria its very first hospital, its first military barracks, and even the first modern prison. Long before Lagos rose to fame, Calabar was already setting the pace. This is the city of many firsts, and today we walk through the landmarks that still carry a story. Come with us. I began my journey at the water's edge, standing beside the Cross River. Its waters are calm now, but history flows just beneath the surface. Calabar sits here in the southeastern corner of Nigeria, right beside the Atlantic Ocean. It borders Cameroon, Akwa Ibom, and lush mangrove forest. On old European maps, it was marked as Old Calabar, not just a stop, but a destination. As I walked the streets of Duketown and Hanshaw Town, I imagined what it was like in the 1600s, the horn of trade, the tragic sounds of chains. Calabar was one of the busiest slave ports in West Africa. Ships came in, thousands of lives were taken out, never to return. Therefore, people, brilliant and business savvy, managed the trade. They created a complex system of commerce that rivaled European standard. But by the 1800s, things were changing. Britain banned the slave trade. The effort didn't collapse. They adapted. And just as the chains fell, another arrival began to reshape the land. As far back as 1846, the Church of Scotland Mission had established Nigeria's first Presbyterian church in Duketown. This wasn't just about worship, it marked the beginning of literacy, Bible translation, and the rise of indigenous religious leadership. And in 1903, yet another quiet milestone unfolded. The first Roman Catholic Mass east of the Niger was held at 19 Boko Street, quietly ushering a new era of spiritual diversity.
The establishment of the church, a part of it is divine. It is reported in the historical documents that as far back as 1841, 1842, 1843, there were freed slaves that were kept in the Americas, and particularly the ones that were freed and rehabilitated in Jamaica. And the Church of Scotland Mission, which was a forebear of the Presbyterian Church of Nigeria, sent in missionaries to Jamaica to convert both these slaves and the local Jamaican population. And then suddenly these slaves became enlightened, and the feeling was that instead of developing hatred, anger for their forebears who sold them out in the first place, they came to a new realization. They saw light. And the feeling was so deep in them that they started pressurizing the missionaries there to come over to their homes, Africa and West Africa, and bring the new light that they've seen. That's the gospel of Jesus Christ.
This was an ancient highway. Volume of trades from Europe and Americas came in here, terminated here. Up there is upland. You have the big town on the other side. And this is what they all call the Old Calabar, this facility. Before you have the Calabar of today that have expanded eastward and northward. You can never talk about Calabar without the advent of the Europeans. This waterway was one of the first entry ports of European activities into Nigeria. The slave trade, this was where the enterprise flourished for more than 300 years, from 16th century up to the first half of the 19th century.
We traveled inland to Okoyong, a peaceful forest village not far from the city. Here, under palm tree and feathered red earth, I stood in the home of Mary Slessor, a Scottish missionary with a heart as fierce as her mission. She didn't just preach, she lived among the people. She challenged the killing of twins, walked barefoot to distant villages, and adopted the children she saved.
The major thing about Mary Slessor is that she stopped the killing of twins in the Calabar region and in Okoyong. She stayed here, she walked here with the people, she was the chief magistrate in our court here. She was the teacher, she was a nurse, she tried to rescue teens, she provided a law for the people, she invited a lot of white people to come in and render some health, assistance to people and many other things. Mary Slessor, actually there is no history anybody will write in the whole of Calabar region without mentioning Mary Slessor.
Mary Slessor became the first female magistrate in the British Empire, and she earned that title right here in Calabar. She died in 1915 at the age of 66, was buried on Mission Hill, now Anderson Street. Her grave is humble, but her legacy is enormous. Back in the city, I found myself before a tall, aged wall. It's easy to walk past it without notice. But behind it once stood Nigeria's first prison, Briskfield Prison, built 135 years ago. Today is the Cross River State Library, but those walls still whisper stories, and none more powerful than the Oba of Aronwen of Benin after his empire fell to British forces in 1897. He was exiled here. He lived within those walls for 2 years before dying in Calabar in 1914. Right around the same time, Calabar became the first administration's capital of the Niger Coast Protectorate. From this street, colonial Nigeria was coordinated. The first army barracks built here, the oldest functional post office, still sorting letters today.
This is a prefab building that was brought in from Britain in part and assembled here in Calabar in 1884. So the building had been standing here for 41 years precisely. This actually became a house at the time that served the first British administration at the time. So Consul Hewitt was the first man that lived here at the time, and he used upstairs for his rooms and downstairs for his offices. This was declared a national monument in 1959, number 20 at the time, and the compound.
Nigeria's first botanical garden was planted right here in the city in 1893. It's now housing a financial institution, the Apex Bank, but once it powered research and medicine. No story of Calabar's first is complete without Hope Waddell Training Institution. Opened in 1895, it was the first secondary school in eastern Nigeria and one of the most influential schools in West Africa. This was no ordinary school. It taught theology, agriculture, carpentry, printing, and political science. It produced leaders. Among its alumni was Eyoita, Nigeria's first professor and an early nationalist. Even Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, Nigeria's first president, was briefly a student here. Hope Waddell also introduced Nigeria to formal sports. The first football, cricket, and hockey matches were played on East Field, planting the seed of Nigeria's sport and culture.
I remember in those days, students were playing hockey and so on, so they were all exposed to different sports. And as you know today, a lot of people are making it through sports. There are people that have their degrees and they put it in their box and then do sports now to earn good money. So with that also, we would have trained these students in all aspects of our educational environment, which goes across from academics to sports to different other areas.
Across town stands St. Margaret Hospital, opened in 1897. It was Nigeria's first public hospital. Today, it thrives at the University of Calabar Teaching Hospital, still healing, still helping. And the women, Calabar raised them bold. Ekanem Basi Beme became West Africa's first female pharmacist. Afyong Eke, Nigeria's first female optometrist, Eki Essien Oku, first female librarian in West Africa, and Margaret Ekpo. She didn't just sit in politics, she shook it, a pioneer in every sense. Her name now crowns Calabar's airport. In 1957, Calabar gave Nigeria its first world boxing champion, Organ Kid Bassi, and Etubom Oyo Rock Oyo broke grounds internationally. First Nigerian on FIFA Executive Committee and CAF's first African honorary vice president. And in the early 2000s, the city launched Nigeria's first monorail system, an ambitious project aimed at reimagining urban transport. And though incomplete, it reminds us the city never stopped dreaming. Then December arrives. In 2004, it gave the world Carnival Calabar, Africa's largest street party, a celebration of history, color, dance, and identity. The carnival has become one of the continent's most iconic cultural exports. The rhythm may be new, but the tradition of leadership is old. At the Millennium Park, I stopped to look up. Nigeria's first giant national flagpole stands tall here in Calabar, waving high above the trees. It's not just a flag, it's a statement. It was hoisted at Millennium Park in October 2010. It was erected as part of Nigeria's 50th independence anniversary celebration, symbolizing unity and national pride.
You just walk through the streets of Calabar, where missionaries rose, where kingdoms fell, and where the soul of Nigeria first took shape. Calabar is more than just a city. It's where Nigeria began to believe in leadership, in learning, and in legacy. So if you've ever want to touch the roots of this nation, come to Calabar. Just like the acronym goes, Calabar, come and live and be at rest. This is the city of many firsts. Tina Akweke, TVC News, Calabar, Cross River State.
Tina joins me now for more. What a beautiful story that captures the very historic depths of Calabar. But how much of that would you say the city has taken advantage of? How many Nigerians are visiting to learn history? And would you say there are some economic dynamics to this?
Okay, thank you so very much. It's wonderful to have taken you around the city that brings Nigeria to the very first place. Well, time did not permit us to bring a whole lot about Cross River and the many firsts. Calabar to be in particular about the many firsts. But Calabar is a place that has a lot of legacies and stories behind it. A lot has evolved. But trust me, if you are looking for a place where history has met, it's commonly said that we cannot make history without minding history. So if you want to follow the root of history and the story of Nigeria, you can't tell that story without mentioning Calabar. So a lot actually had changed, had evolved, but those legacies that had brought Calabar where it is today is still living in every street here in Calabar, the capital of Cross River State.
Tina Akweke live for us in Calabar. Hopefully more Nigerians will now be more inquisitive and also excited about visiting. Thank you for that beautiful story. That's the news tonight, everyone. Thank you for being a part of it. Remember that you can get more